Good evening, everyone, and happy Easter. Hope everyone's had a nice and safe day. Um, Evening's upon us. Looks like we'll have storms tonight. I just thought I'd do something semi-traditional here and talk about a couple of musicals that I have a couple different recordings of. Godspell and Jesus Christ Superstar. The little bit I know about it, but we can talk about it a little bit. So there is the original Godspell. Um, And Godspell doesn't, I'll be honest, doesn't hold up as much as Jesus Christ Superstar. It just is a little more dated. I saw the movie recently on cable, and it just didn't seem to have its thing here. So this is the original concept album for that. And then there's the movie soundtrack of Godspell, which is this one. Interesting tidbits of facts about that, if anyone's interested, is Paul Schaefer was on the touring company for this and the Broadway play, and I believe did some of the musical direction for the movie, along with Adrienne Martin from Second City Television. She was part of the touring company that played LA for a long time. And like I said, it had a lot of New York musicians involved in it. Like I said, I've seen it recently. It is very much a product of its time and doesn't hold up as much. Jesus Christ Superstar has been readapted a few times. And then the other version of Godspell I picked up somewhere along the way. It's this version. And the best I can tell, it is, I believe, Brazilian version of Godspell. So it was for the Spanish market. Anyway, the entire album redone in Spanish. Robert Pattinson, I don't know any of these actors are who put together, but there it is. Something interesting. And then there's Jesus Christ Superstar. Oh, I actually pulled out CDs as well today, so we can talk about CD versions as well. In Godspell, easily, and then I've got the movie soundtrack. And it looks like this is a remastered version. I'm a sucker for remasters. As you get to know me, you'll find that out. There's definitely a tonal quality difference sometimes. Jesus Christ Superstar has been cranked out there quite a few times. Matter of fact, there's a new version on NBC tonight. A lot of people might be watching that, but this is the original concept album. Had a lot of people from English rock bands at the time. Victor Brox, I believe, was involved with Juicy Lucy. Barry Dennen, Yvonne Elliman, who went on to work with Eric Clapton, had a few hits of her own. Ian Gillan from Deep Purple, Murray Head, and Paul Diablo. He was the singer on Manfred Mann's Earthmen. He does Herod Song, which is always kind of the comic relief of the movie and the play. But I picked up a couple of other versions over the years. So that was the original concept album. My understanding in there was some touring with that. Ian Gillan did it on stage. There wasn't a stage production, just touring and playing some of the music from it. And someone told me once, I don't know how true it is, maybe someone knows, that he actually came to St. Louis with that. And then there was the stage production, original Broadway, U.S. Broadway cast, and had a few people from the original. I believe, let's see, Ben Vereen is actually on this. He was the touring cast, along with Ted Neely, who was originally the understudy. I'm sorry, Jeff Fenhold is actually the singer on this version. Ted Neely was the understudy, and when Jeff Fenhold couldn't make it one night, he became the person most associated with it. Jeff Fenhold was in a few rock bands in the 70s and never quite made it. And then he went into gospel music, was on PTL a lot, talks about being saved from the rock industry. Actually tried out for Black Sabbath once. And then here's the soundtrack, which has Ted Neely, who's a Texas barn guy. And as a matter of fact, up to like 2 years ago, I believe he was still touring with it. So he's in the 70s and still playing Jesus Christ on tour. Just kind of an interesting deal there. And he's still out there, does some shows and has done it in reunion with it. And this was one of the first albums I was highlights from it, and I don't believe it's even the original cast. Just a quirky EP put out by a budget label. Mike Allen. Geez. So it was just kind of a throw together album in England. And then I've got two other versions here, a couple other versions on vinyl, and then we'll look at the CDs real quick. This I picked up recently. This is excerpts from the rock opera, The Kingsway Youth Choir. It has a couple interesting people. This is an English version again, sometime in the mid-70s. But a couple of the artists involved, which are Martin Smith, but the one that stuck out to me is Norman Smith sang on this album. Norman Smith, for nerds like me, know he produced he was the engineer under Martin, who produced for the first 100 Beatles songs at Apple Studios, or not Apple, I'm sorry, EMI. And he also produced the first 2 or 3 Pink Floyd albums. And then he decided he was also a World War II vet, and he wrote some music of his own, and he decided to be a singer. And in the mid-70s, he had a hit, even did the Tonight Show, if you want to look it up. He went by Norman Hurricane Smith, and Baby, What Would You Say was his big hit in America. So he had quite a storied career, and did a version of Jesus Christ Superstar as well. And then we'll throw this on. I've never actually listened to it. I picked it up recently. I thought it was just interesting and fun. Is on Super Majestic Records. I know very little about it, but it is the soul version of Jesus Christ Superstar. Let's get into it. So again, this came out in '73. Like they were trying to add a little bit more of a funk flavor to it. But that was kind of interesting. He said there's been quite a few interpretations. Go to CDs real quick. This is the remastered of the soundtrack to the movie. I'm always been more of the concept album guy. And then this was in the mid-90s, the 20th anniversary version. I forgot who was in this one. It seems like there was someone famous. And it was always, Herod was always kind of the Victor Spoonie. I don't know. He was a English, part of the English rock of the 70s. And then there's this version. I couldn't find the soundtrack. I have it somewhere. This came out in the 90s, and it featured Rick Maleo playing Herod again, the comic relief of the middle of the film before they get into the darker part. But he was one of the members of the Young Ones. And this was an English stage production, and I shot a video of it and put it out tonight on TV. If you're home watching, there's the live version from a couple years ago, rebroadcasting with John Legend and Sarah Bareilles as well tonight. So it's something that still has life out there. And let's see. And this I bought back in the 90s at Streetside, Jesus Christ of Resurrection. And it had a lot of, guess what you'd call our alternative artists. And they produced, redid the entire album with kind of on a minor label artist. Michael Laurent and Amy Ray, who I believe is part of the Indigo Sisters, played Jesus on this. So it's kind of an interesting reworking of the version. But and then there's so tonight's version had Alice Cooper doing Herod again, the comic relief part. And then last couple I have is soundtrack to Easter. Get off the religious part. We'll just do a little bit Easter Parade soundtrack. and the movie. Always good, entertaining Easter item. And this I bought as a budget label and actually has a pretty nice collection. Peter Cottontail, your basic Easter songs. So if you just need something in the background for the family, probably hunt this up. It's on Sony Special Products. What I don't have, I need to order is Bear Family Records. Those who know, they're a German label and they're really big on rockabilly. And they have something called the Bunny Hop. Easter Bunny Hop, and it's a collection mostly rockabilly kind of Eastery songs. So something interesting out there. All right, that was kind of short. Not real funky or weird. I'll have more funky weird stuff the rest of this week. If there's something in particular you'd like to hear, let me know or want me to talk about. I'm happy to drag out what other odd stuff I have around the house. I have plenty to dig through. Anyway, everyone stay safe. Going into another week. Before you know it, this will all be over. Oh, and the wife is waving a bunny. Come on in, wife with bunny. Oh, she's hiding. I cannot get Cindy to jump on camera yet. We're going to get her in here. Maybe I'll interview her, find out why she actually keeps me. So, everyone have a safe evening. Happy Easter. And take care, and we will talk to you tomorrow evening.